Imagine, if you will, the scenario. You go about life for the first 9 months of the year without a care in the world, frolicking through the fields of green, and overall having a good time of things. But before you know it, September ends and the spooky season is upon us. Not only did you forget to wake up Billy Joe in time, but now you're up at fucking creek without a paddle, because you didn't compile a number of fine horror games throughout the ages into the form of a tier list to find out what you need to play this October. Well, you're in luck, my friend, for you see, I, prolific YouTuber Dale Jackson06, have uploaded just that tier list to YouTube, and just for you. But before I start, here are my 4 rules for this video. First, the game must be publicly available on Steam, my store of choice. Second, I'm not going to do multiple games from the same series, at least not in the same video. Third, I'm going to try not to include games that everyone and their dog has already reviewed. I want to keep it interesting. With all that said, the most important rule to remember is as follows. I'll rate each game's quality via pros and cons, but the tier list itself will strictly be based off spookiness, scariness, and general potential for heebie-jeebies. First on our list is Corridor 7 Alien Invasion, which originally released on May 20th, 1994, and normally costs $10 on Steam. It was made by Capstone. You play as this funny fellow with a gun that's just slightly too short, and you're trying to clear your entire ship of the invading alien presence. Why are the aliens invading your comically shaped ship, you might ask?
We've uncovered something. Looks like an alien artifact.
Well, it's simple. Much like every other alien-themed horror property ever created, it starts with human beings unearthing a strange alien artifact and immediately taking it home with them. But, surprise surprise, messing with the artifact draws the ire of some well-armed alien creatures. And we're into it. Visual settings? Man, talk about old school. This game came out long before DLSS, ray tracing, or even the days of adjustable quality, it seems. Hopefully my computer can handle it on max settings. Alright, audio. Damn, it's feast or famine. It's got more volume options than anyone could ever need. Line in. What, can I talk the aliens to death? The fact that the sliders are all set at arbitrary levels by default is really the cherry on top. Just goes to show how easy it is to take the basic standards we have today for granted. There are also a surprising amount of difficulty options. At first I thought they increased in difficulty as you go down the list. Then I realized that's only true for the first 4 options. President adds a randomizer to all spawns in the game, very ahead of its time. And the rest are used to set up an online game. I expect this to be a bit tricky, so I went with the easiest difficulty. Immediately, it's easy to draw parallels between this and the original Doom. Unfortunately, Doom looks, sounds, and overall feels better than Corridor 7. Despite the fact that it came out 6 months earlier. They did have some originality though. Instead of needing a blue key from a specific location to open blue doors, like in Doom, you need to activate a blue panel in a specific location to open blue doors. Truly groundbreaking stuff, that. This big red floating alien skull was unexpected and had a radical design. Other than that though, there's really not much to say. 99% of the enemies I encountered were these floating eyeballs.
Elevator clearance acquired.
I also like how it lets you get on the elevator to the next level without even killing all the aliens. It's not like that's the whole objective of the game in the first place. I guess leaving a small handful of killer aliens on my ship is no big deal. Man, who would even fund a game like this after Doom had already come out? Oh, actually, yep, that explains everything. Honestly, even if you're into these DOS shooters, I wouldn't pick this one up, if for the price alone. It's just not that great, and not very spooky, unless you're particularly scared of empty hallways or the color blue. And as for the 30 years of horror tier list, this game gets a D. Taking the second spot on this prolific list is Realms of the Haunting, developed by Gremlin Interactive. The internet can't seem to agree on one consistent release date, but most posit it came out sometime during 1996. Today, you can pick it up for $3 on Steam. It opens with this totally radical 90s 3D animation. There's no sound besides background music, and I don't exactly understand what's happening, but I like it. And suddenly, boom. Realms of the Haunting. Finally, this mystical blade transitions into the true beauty which resides within this game. Full motion video. We find our hero sitting embroiled in a string of non-sequitur, not-so-silent contemplation. I'll let him explain it himself.
My father died 6 months ago. Since he and my mother divorced, we'd had our problems. I hadn't seen him as often as I'd meant to. You know how it is. My father was the pastor at a Cornish village. He was well liked, had time for everyone except his son. I can't explain it, but lately I've begun to dream about a house.
And then it shows you that he's actually been dreaming about a host of vile creatures, strange dudes, and mystical symbols, with the house being by far the least remarkable, irrelevant, minor footnote to categorize such intense dreams. And then he dreams about a pretty lady.
I had other dreams at that time, too.
And then the priest came to see him.
And the priest came to see me.
And then he said
his name was Elias Camber. Apparently, he and Dad met at a conference a couple of years ago and kept in touch, off and on, by letter. Father had discovered something about a strange house on the outskirts of the village. Something terrible.
But then it turns out
almost all of what Camber told me was a lie.
Oh.
I ignored the whole thing for a while.
But he can't ignore it, because, yeah. So
2 days ago, I opened the parcel. Fragments of some carved objects. I'm none the wiser for what they might be. I do know they're powerful.
With that, you use your Herculean strength to slam the poor taxi driver's car door, and then it's into the house.
So here I am. I feel I've been brought here by something. I don't know what it is.
What?
Or what it wants.
It is a lying priest by the name of Elias Camber, and it wants you to come to the house. He told you that himself. Oh well, at least this game brings on the horror nice and early. Took me a rewatch to even see what was supposed to scare you in that scene. Not that I would ever denigrate the visual work of the great Les Spink. I know I've been making fun of it a bit, but I really do like the campiness of this game. There's just something classically fun about traveling to a big, spooky mansion full of mysterious paintings and underground passageways. It's also an interesting use of FMV over pre-rendered backgrounds. It gives all the cutscenes this characteristic look. And of course, we're locked in. Shadows. Oh, man, they weren't kidding. Maybe there's a button to brighten things up, huh? Let's see, this one's strafe. That one turns off all the textures. Ah, there we are. Much better. Oh, hey, I got maybe a big raisin. Alright, it was fun while it lasted, but I need normal gamma again to actually review the game. Without giving too much of the story away, I would describe this game as a cross between a point-and-click adventure and a classic Doom-style shooter. There are plenty of hidden items to find and texts to glean lore from, but there's also a scene where you mow down an army of skeletons with a pump-action shotgun, so you really do get a little bit of everything. And while old, awkward control schemes are usually a detractor,
Looks
this
like
game
someone
fits
left
in
the window
perfectly with the
open.
narrative of some American dude stumbling around a haunted mansion in England, punching out all the windows.
Ceramic vase.
And shooting 400 rounds of live ammunition indiscriminately. It's a game full of deep, spooky passageways, haunting, ghostly appearances, and weird-looking seagulls. Not to mention a few truly chilling death scenes. Put it all together, and you got yourself a game that I would highly recommend you try out. It's cheap while having a great depth of gameplay, intriguing puzzles, and a tense, uneasy environment punctuated by some genuine moments of horror. It honestly feels a lot like a goofier precursor to the first Resident Evil game, and the pure, classic horror campiness of it all brings this game to an A on the 30 Years of Horror tier list. And if you think that's too high, this one final cutscene just might change your mind.
Give me one good reason. How about this? Next time, boy, it is you that shall come to me. On your knees.
Next up on our list is Doom 64, a horror shooter developed by id Software and released on April 4th, 1997, which retails for $5 on Steam today, when it's not on sale. You might not think it looks much like a horror game, but the first thing you have to do is enter a binding legal agreement with a large corporation. Now that's what I call horror. Once you actually get into the game, it looks great, while needing very little in the way of computational power. Even on decades-old computer hardware, this game could run flawlessly, making it a go-to for gamers on a budget. The levels get more difficult as you play, with stronger enemies and more maze-like layouts. Along with the myriad shooting sections, there are a number of keys, items, and secret areas that require you to complete puzzles in order to progress. There are also some tricky, high-speed platforming sections that add even further variety to the gameplay. The slippery movement makes them tough. But when you actually nail it, it's that much more satisfying. The only real complaint I can come up with after playing through about half the game is, there's one particular visual effect in one of the early levels, which is possibly the worst I've ever seen. Other than that, the diversity of enemies and level design keeps things interesting. And although it isn't packed with jump scares, the ambient, hellish environment provides a creepy atmosphere. To be honest, I've always sort of assumed these older Doom games didn't have much to offer when compared to modern shooters, but I couldn't have been more wrong. If you get the chance, I'd highly recommend this game. However, on the 30 Years of Horror tier list, I get to see. It's just not very scary, especially since you play as a super soldier. Next, we have Postal. It's the only game on the list with an age warning at the beginning. You know, kids probably weren't meant to play those last 3 games, but this one, it's strictly off limits. Too much, quote-unquote, graphic and senseless violence. Postal was released by Running with Scissors on November 14th, 1997, and currently costs absolutely nothing. You play as this guy who is completely insane and thinks that the world itself hungers for the blood of the innocent. Now, I would wager that if any of you have heard of Postal, it was from one of the later entries in the series, where they realized it would be beneficial to use goofy humor to counterbalance the aforementioned graphic and senseless violence. Granted, I don't know how many people would be truly horrified by the graphical presentation of this game. Even though you're in control, the isometric camera positioned about 60 feet away from the player at all times makes it feel more like a distant observer. But the subject matter of this game is probably the darkest you'll find on this list. You get no explanation behind your goal of mass shooting as many people as possible. You just walk out of your front door one day and kill everybody. See, the past 3 games have had you fighting aliens, ghoulish creatures, and demons from hell. These are all things I would put into the fun, spooky category. A random dude with ultra schizophrenia deciding to commit mass murder to cleanse the earth is something I would put in the not fun, scary category, mainly because it can really happen. I'm not saying you can't discuss these things or make games about them, but make it have a point. Beyond anything else, this game is just devoid of a point. There are a couple goofy elements, but again, there's not that same constant over-the-top comedy that makes later Postal games interesting. Without that, all you have is an aged B-list arcade shooter that takes over 3 hours to beat 100% if you move slow. It honestly feels like the only reason they made this so edgy and controversial was to actually give people something to talk about, in hopes of making the game a little less forgettable. Still more fun than Corridor 7 though. And to be fair, there are definitely a few elements which showed the future potential of the studio. It is free on Steam, so try it to your heart's content. I'm just not sure you'll get much out of it.
Stop shooting, you sick bastard! I'm already dead!
But the realistic horror concept will get another A on the 30 Years of Horror tier list. Okay, and it is pretty funny to see 40 saxophonists go up in flames while you spout overlapping one-liners. Next is a Capcom title I hadn't heard of before making this video. Onimusha Warlords, released January 25th, 2001. That's right, we've reached the current millennium with this $20 entry. Granted, I'm playing the remaster. I do always like seeing PS1 graphics upscaled to Ultra HD. You get to view the models in higher detail than even the artists themselves did back then, which is particularly great for a horror game full of rotting bodies and demonic creatures. I'm worried I'll give this one too much unfair praise just by comparing it to everything else I've played so far. This is gaming brought to the modern age. Even when not compared to the likes of Corridor 7, the animation and gameplay feel exceptional, especially for the beginning of 2001. This battle scene is definitionally radical, and you get this right from the title screen. Then, the dramatic reveal of our hero. Salmanosuke. And don't worry, in the first 5 minutes, then make sure you'll remember his name.
Dear Samanosuke, 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 Samanosuke.
Samanosuke. Samanosuke. Wake up, Samanosuke.
You get the idea. Our hero, Trautosuke, has been tasked with rescuing fair Princess Yuki from a supernatural bind. But we're not quite powerful enough yet.
With your current power, you are not capable of destroying the demons. We will give you our powers. We are the clan of ogres that has been subverted by the demons. Samanosuke, defeat and seal their souls to your right hand. What? Destroy all the demons!
With that, you have an aneurysm and die on the spot. Nah, I'm just kidding. A quick lesson on enhancing my orbs, and I'm in business. You cross a bridge that's covered in bodies, only to see that the dead have risen, and they have swords. Ah, come on, just drop the spear. Ah, shame. This game's kind of a rarity. It's a horror hack and slash, where you absorb the souls of your enemies and use them to gain strength. The gameplay and general vibe of demonology make it feel like a samurai version of Devil May Cry, and I'm here for it.
Hurry! Monsters! Close the door, now!
But someone is there!
Go get him!
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Open the door! I've killed all the monsters!
This is a good time to mention that this game was originally in Japanese, and I didn't change the speaking animations for the English dub, so it falls into the classic kung fu movie trope of mismatched mouths.
You! Sorry.
We are very sorry. Please forgive us. The keep may have also been attacked by them.
The keep, eh? Sounds like the type of place
Keep is ahead
they'd
of us
keep
that
a
way?
princess.
Right. The forest road there is a shortcut to the keep.
I think those guys back there were just trying to get me killed. Well, joke's on them. I survived the ordeal and claimed the unmatched power of lightning as my prize. Throughout the game, you get 3 distinct magical powers like this one, all of which transform your weapon and your fighting abilities. It's a concept still used often today. You also need to upgrade specific powers to progress through certain doorways, along with finding puzzle items like keys or hidden rope ladders. There are also a number of other puzzle types to gain powerful items, or even sometimes to save yourself. The combat is fun, though a bit simple, but the wide variety of enemies keeps it feeling pretty fresh. And that's about all I have to say for this one. Even though it's the most expensive on today's list, I would highly recommend playing Onimusha Warlords. It's a classical hack and slash with an intriguing horror theme, an exciting progression system, and some serious puzzles. But on the 30 years of horror tier list, this is going to get a B. Cool looking demons and undead, but it's much more of an action game than proper horror. Next, Manhunt, released by Rockstar on November 18th, 2003. This game got quite the notorious reputation when it came out, due to its graphic depictions of violence. Today, it's $10. It opens with a reporter searching for the One
This
Piece.
goes all the way to the top. I can't trust anyone, least of all the police, and time's running out. I've got to get the One Piece footage and testimony of a man who was executed by the state 5 hours ago.
You play as a man who was executed by the state 5 hours ago.
Hey, tough guy, wake up.
Or were you?
You're not dead. Well, not yet.
As the director explains, he spared you from death row so that he could film you getting your second chance.
Another throw of the dice.
And by second chance, he means you're going to walk through a city methodically killing a bunch of people, and he's going to watch while occasionally providing instructions through your handy earpiece.
You're gonna want it because these streets are being patrolled by gangs. They're scum, just like you. And they're here to hunt you down and cut you up. I'll try to direct you as best I can, but other than that, you're on your own. It's up to you. Okay, are you ready? Camera, action.
And this, my friends, is Manhunt. You stealthily approach enemies, stand behind them while holding the kill button down for the right amount of time to maximize your score, see a crass kill animation, rinse and repeat. Now, unlike Onimusha, this game actively discourages melee fighting, making it downright impossible even if you're well armed. So you really have no choice but to hide in the shadows and wait for your opportunity to strike. In all of these ways, Manhunt is almost exactly the same game as Burger King's Sneak King.
So, here I am again, standing...
Thankfully, shadows work much more effectively in the Manhunt universe than they should. Once you enter the shadows, you become completely invisible. And I mean, completely invisible.
Find anything, you just holler.
Vanished like a goddamn ghost.
Each gang has their, let's just call it, their thing. These guys call themselves the Hoods.
So each section of the game has a distinct cast of enemies, all with a matching theme. You can really see that classic Rockstar sense of humor with the different gangs too, like Mr. Fuckerjacket here. There's also the brain-dead white supremacist gang who lives in a junkyard.
We shouldn't have to drag a hard man like you out by the balls!
With, what is that, a Bam Majera t-shirt?
Show yourself, you fairy!
And who could forget the comically well-armed entire psych ward? So at the end of the day, even though it definitely shows its age, Manhunt is still quite the experience.
Damn.
It can get tedious at times, especially during the forced fighting sections, but there are also a lot of moments of genuine tension and suspense, making this the first game on the list I'd consider a true blue horror game. Still, the overall goofiness and occasional lack of logic keeps it soundly in the A tier on this, the 30 Years of Horror tier list. And there was one more game I had planned for this video, and it is a real doozy, but I couldn't fit it in for time. Thankfully, it came out in 2005, so I can still safely include it in the next installment of the 30 Years of Horror tier list, coming out on the 20th of this month. If you have any suggestions for games or for the format of these videos, leave them below and I'll take a look. Otherwise, that's all for today.